It seems like so many voices are calling our attention either one way or the other. The recent strict gun control laws attempted by the Trudeau Liberals have caused quite a stir here in Canada. Now, to talk about it in a little more detail on some of these gun laws is a local hunting guide, Andre Van Hilten of Willow Creek Outfitters, joining us just outside of Staveley, Alberta. Andre, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you, Hal.
So, Andre, what are your thoughts on Bill C-21 and the impact on a lot of sport shooters and hunters?
Well, it's a challenging one for sure. This is it just seems like it's been something that they've constantly wanted, been taking things from the firearms owner, and it just seems like they're just not really directly dealing with the firearms problem. The firearm problem isn't the legally vetted and licensed firearm owners; it's the legal guns that are coming across the border.
So what do you think the government really needs to do when it comes to gun laws then? Maybe going after more the criminals and illegal guns crossing the border, the handguns from the United States?
I think that's the where we need to do it, because I think majority of the guns used in the crimes are legally acquired or smuggled across the border, and aren't the ones that are possessed by legally licensed and vetted landowners that store them safely. So I just really think it's maybe to appease the people that are uneducated about guns and gun owners and the proper use of guns. And they've seen probably a lot of people, the only access or what they've seen from firearms is in the movies, and where it's used in war or crimes and stuff like that. And that's the only thing that they're seeing guns being used as. So they're viewed as something that is bad, I think.
Montreal Canadiens goaltender Carey Price took to social media, and it showed a picture of him in his camo, and he's holding a shotgun saying, listen, I'm not a criminal, I'm a hunter, and these gun laws are not going to do the trick. Like, he's not happy about it. So would you agree with Carey Price that going after a lot of the hunters with the shotguns is not the way to go?
Yeah, absolutely it is, because I think you're chasing the wrong problem here, because if they could let us really know what the true statistics are of firearms used in crimes, by properly licensed and vetted and stored firearms, I bet you it's very, very minimal. So, with that being said, then, focus the time and the money into the real problem, which I'm guessing is the illegal firearms coming across the border.
Some people say that, hunting, that's more the 18 and 1900s, people out hunting for their food all the time. It's not really as prevalent in today's society. What are your thoughts?
Well, it has become that way because, we're very reliant on, food producers out there, doing it for us and putting it in the store for us. And, we've got it pretty easy this day and age compared to, the thousands of years of our ancestry that's had to, go across the land and find their own food. Here it's basically a one-stop shop in a supermarket and you got all you need. So, we are really removed from it nowadays, but there are so many good things that come from hunting. It's not just, getting your own meat out there. It's time spent in nature. It's time spent with family and friends. And, if you have an appreciation for nature, we'll be able to keep it too. So there's many benefits from hunting, aside from just getting your own meat.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the benefits, specifically, Andre, when it comes to hanging out with your family. Maybe you take your son or your daughter with you, or maybe husband and wife go out and hunting. Let's talk about some of those benefits then. It's almost like, I guess, when you go fishing, right? Take the family out fishing, it's a bonding time, bonding experience.
Well, and that's a huge thing nowadays. I think, nowadays so many people are busy doing things, whether it's on a device or a screen or something like that. And, life is so busy with stuff, but there's so many things we can learn from nature, and it can actually be a good reset for people to spend time in nature, and it gives you more appreciation for, the other peoples in your life and things, just in general, because everything in nature is very real. Sometimes in the civilized world, we don't know what's real, what's not. And, spending time in nature, there's a lot to show you out there, and it's good for kids to actually, get out and have an appreciation for what there is to offer out there.
So as a hunter yourself, what do you like to hunt? Is it elk, moose, deer? What do you like?
Well, everybody's as a hunter, everybody's got their preference. For me, it's something that really challenges me just as far as not just the animal, but also in the environment they live in. I really enjoy do sheep hunting, and sheep hunting will take you to some extreme country in the mountains. Where you're totally removed from going to a nice warm bed at night and hanging out at the restaurant after a long day's hunting. You got to provide for yourself, and you got to deal with the elements out there. And that part of the challenge, I think, is really where the bigger part of the reward comes. That you are feel very rewarded at the end of the day, whether you're successful or not, but that you've just been out there, and it's very humbling for sure.
What game animals do you think make for some of the best hunts?
Well, I think for most people, in general, I would say, your deer and your elk hunts are probably, because they're very the populations are very good on the deer and elk there. It just makes it for lots of opportunity, would make for you know a good time for especially new hunters or young hunters, right? Where if there's lots of animals out there, there's means there's maybe more opportunity. It keeps people engaged because there's a lot of opportunities out there for them to hunt and try their skills at hunting. So those are probably obviously the more popular ones that I think most people in Alberta are going to be hunting if they do go their first hunt.
What are your thoughts on some of the big game hunters over in different countries in Africa where they're hunting lions or even elephants? Especially people that want to, I guess, maybe kill the elephants for the tusks, for the ivory. What are your thoughts on those types of hunts?
Well, I think in the bigger scheme of things, the big picture of things, if there's not a value put on something, there won't be an appreciation for it. If you don't put a value on nature and expose our kids to nature, how can we expect them to preserve it? And that same goes with the animals across the world. If there is no value on it, people aren't going to appreciate it, and they're going to abuse it or extort it or whatever how. And at the end of the day, we're going to lose it if we don't take care of these things. So there's many different views on hunting across the board, whether it's for meat or for trophy, all at the end of the day. But probably one of the biggest contributors, to help the environment and to help these animals survive are hunter dollars. Hunter dollars, put so much money into the system, whether it's through license sales or through auctions, fundraiser, all stuff. And these are the ones that definitely are the dollars that help conserve these animals and the habitat they live in.
Have you seen changes in the game animal population over the years? What are you really seeing right now?
Well, it all ebbs and flows for sure, and obviously there's many different variables that affects the population. Obviously, winter kill, in this part of the world, as well as disease and all stuff. Definitely, that's what controls animals before even man had any hand in controlling it. So those are the things that are definitely take a role in the population's strengths or weaknesses. And it all just seems like it goes in cycles. But I know the game people that are trying to manage the game are doing the best they can. It's a big undertaking, and my hat's off them for doing it. But to be able to get a good handle on a huge population of animals that stretches across the province of Alberta or Canada or something like that, it's definitely a challenging job to be able to manage it properly between those factors of starvation and disease, as well as hunting pressure.
So, Andre, traditionally, when is the hunting season here in Alberta?
Well, traditionally, the hunting season in Alberta is in the fall. So basically, some things will start in August and then go through December. It all depends on the species and the areas, and obviously the seasons that have been set by the game management people.
Do you have a favorite region of Alberta for hunting, or maybe in Saskatchewan or BC?
Well, they're all, I'm more of an open country person, but also do like the mountains. I've spent a lot of time guiding through Western Canada and a lot of time spent in the mountains. And I just, the mountains are probably my favorite spot for sure. Where we live down here in southwestern Alberta, it's such an amazing place to hunt. It's not just the animals, but it's the location you're in. If you can, just take a moment and see what's out there, from the grass in front of your feet to the mountains in the background. I don't think we live in a much prettier place in the world, that's for sure.
Well, we talked about the federal government Ottawa on Bill C-21, and many hunters are not happy with it right now, the potential gun ban bill with a lot of the rifles, the hunting rifles, the shotguns. What about the province? Has the provincial government been helpful or more of a hindrance to hunters?
Well, I think, Alberta has been one place it seems like, our voice seems to be heard, maybe a little bit more than other provinces. And maybe just because we have, a lot of people living in rural areas and live in the rural way of life. And it's good to see that, Alberta's kind of stepping up and, speaking out to the federal government about, how this new laws are not, don't really make sense. It's just, going to use a lot of extra resources, if this law is implemented, to, get these firearms out of the, legal owners. And when you do that, it's just going to take away from other parts that are maybe more important, for our law enforcement to be focusing on.
It sounds like you like to spend a lot of time out in the rural areas, the backcountry. So, Andre, why do you think Albertans need to spend more time in the wild lands of our province?
Well, I think it's just, it's a good reality check. Again, it's if you let it be, it's a very humbling experience to be out there because everything in nature is real, right? If it's raining, you got to put a rain jacket on. All these things. Like, there's examples out there that you just can't escape from it, or hide from it by paying somebody to do it, or fixing it on your phone or whatever it is. And I really think the more people that can go out and do that, whether you're canoeing, you're biking, you're hiking, you're horseback riding, trying to go out and hire a guide that can take you out of these places and get somewhere where you're away from the noise. And then the more people that do it, the more people are going to be willing to try to preserve this and try to understand that it's very, very important, for our future generations to be able to use this as much as we have and our past generations have as well.
Andre, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have when it comes to hunting?
Well, I think the biggest misconceptions people have come to hunting is because it seems like we're very removed from it nowadays, that we don't need it to survive because other people are providing the things that we need to survive nowadays. So I think people just, unfortunately, sometimes hunting is portrayed in the wrong way, and there's photos out there and there's things that are said that for the ordinary person that isn't around it could seem very, very abrasive, I guess. And that's just the way it is, type deal. But I think people quickly forget that, many of our generation in the past, that's the only way that they have survived, and it was put on this earth for us, to utilize and for us to be able to, feed our families and all that kind of stuff. And, it's a great way to do that because, you're 100% organic meat. And as well, it's a great time to spend outside with your family.
Outside of the challenges being offered by Bill C-21, what other issues are there when it comes to hunting in the 21st century?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is concern is, the encroachment of, of cities and us humans on the habitat of the animals. And unfortunately, the animals always lose in this situation, because they kept on getting pushed out of their homes into other places, which congregates them. And then that's when your situations can happen when there's disease spread and stuff like that too. But, every one of us on this earth has displaced some form of wildlife. We have our homes here, we have our roads, we have our cities, we have our towns. We have all played a role in displacing this wildlife and congregating them into areas. And I think that is probably the biggest threat that we have to the wildlife in North America right now.
So, Andre, before I let you go, what are some of the biggest rewards that you find when it comes to hunting, you personally?
Well, in my line of work, I've been doing this since I've been out of school, so it's been a long time. I won't quite tell you how long it's been, but it's been a long time. The amazing thing is that it pulls people out of their regular environment, and quite often nowadays, we are so busy, and everybody says they don't have time, all this stuff. And people come out and get a breath of fresh air, and spend some time in nature and around wildlife, and it brings on a whole new attitude for them, and it's a breath. It's pretty awesome to see that people really do appreciate it, and I think people could really do more of it, but we only have so much time once again. But the people that actually take the time to do this stuff, it's very, very rewarding, and it's been very rewarding for me to be able to expose so many people to this, or be able to take people out on these different adventures and show them what it's all about and educate them about it, just so they can pass that on to their family and their friends, and hopefully preserve this for future generations.
Andre Van Hilten with Willow Creek Outfitters, thanks so much for joining us today from just outside of Stavely, Alberta.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless and thanks for watching.